Your opinion, what do you think happens when, couples first get married and there is this passion and sex, and then as the time goes by and the kids come and then sex is like less and less and less, like what happens? Where does the disconnection happen?
Well, I think there's age, right? I think
Mm,
there's just actual hormones, like, and what happens to people's bodies. But I think that what happens too is that, the beginning is like novel, right? There's a place
mm,
where you just have like two people and then it becomes two or three or four. And, you've got like more people in your house and you don't have the time necessarily that it takes to really like drop into like a deeper level of intimacy. And, maybe, people get disconnected and distracted by their everyday living. And there's a way where, and I think this is in general, right? I think that in general, people go on autopilot unless you take the time to consciously and mindfully make sure that you're not on autopilot.
yeah.
Right. And I think that is in all things. Right. I think that there requires a cultivation of like, is this still true?
Mm,
Wait, what do I really want? Oh, am I just not having sex because I can't be bothered to like make the time? Like what is it? Oh, maybe I'm not having sex because I haven't said 10 things of that were true to my partner that I just don't feel like having those conversations. And because we haven't had those conversations, how am I going to go and be that intimate? And so, resentments build and, people don't tell the truth to one another. I mean, all of this affects sex life, right?
and at what age do you teach this to a child, like everything that you're teaching, or
To a child, oh man. I mean, I don't really teach sex to my child. She's
Mhm,
5. Um, she doesn't. I mean, she understands some procreation
mhm,
information because like I've been trying to get pregnant, and so she's really interested in that. But I've only shown her like scientific,
right.
like I don't discuss any pieces of like the pleasure of it or any like none of that. And I won't teach that to her for a good amount of time, probably until like she's a teenager.
Yeah.
Um Personally, because I don't think it's needed
Mm.
at a young age. Like I don't think there's really any reason to teach kids beyond procreation about sex in I mean that's my view.
Right. No, no, no.
Um
And then the reason why I'm asking, because they're starting to teach that so much younger now in schools, or some schools in California are teaching masturbation with the kids, 5-year-old kids. Like, I don't know.
First of all, I don't think schools. God, it's such a difficult. First of all, I'm done with schools. There's no way my child's ever going to school. Um,
I don't
so
blame you. I would do the
I
same
mean,
thing.
it's just like it basically like a how to be a worker plant. How
Right.
to how to fit the state narrative. And that's what it's always been, right? Like, I mean, if you look at what school is, it's really never been about education. It's really been about like how do you become a productive worker for the world, right? How do you learn how to sit in an office and take orders and do what
Right.
you're told? No one's teaching entrepreneurship to kids. Sex in schools, first of all, I live in Arizona and you don't even need a college degree to be a teacher here anymore. So you're telling me that like some person who didn't even graduate from college is going to teach my child about sexuality? Fuck no. Kids, look, here's the deal. Kids touch themselves anyway, right?
Right.
It's actually normal and it is behaviorally normal. And the best thing that you can do is just not shame them for it. You can direct them to privacy. You can direct them, like, hey, if you're going to touch your own body, why don't you go in your room? Like we don't do that at the dinner table. Like you can kind of set some social things, right? Of like, what's
Right.
appropriate. But the best thing you can do is not get triggered by it yourself and just be like, oh, they're touching their body. Okay. Okay, you want to go touch your body? Like, go touch your body in your room.
Right.
And it doesn't have to be called masturbation, right? Because
Right.
that's, again, this is a word that is like adults use to put on a particular thing, whereas like a child doesn't actually have that framework. They're just touching their body.
Right.
right? And when adults start to be like, that's disgusting, you're disgusting, you fucking filthy little pig, like that is actually someone's own inability to be with their own sexuality. Because really we have made touching our own bodies wrong. And I'm
Mm.
not sure had that happened other than the fact that it is used to control people.